gosh.
Hello, Piano Craft Tribe. Good morning.
Morning, folks. Oh my gosh. Stacy, take it.
I am so excited about today. I'm so glad you guys are here. We have Mark Cerisano. Did I say your last name right?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. I'm like, Mark Cerisano here. We've been following you. A lot of us have been following you for years, and I can't believe we get to actually have a class with you.
I'm excited too.
Yeah. We're kind of geeking out here, but so honored to have you here. You guys, for those of you who don't, well, I don't know, you guys probably all know Mark, but he's been doing this since 2000, so he's got over 2 decades of experience doing this.
Wow.
He also instructs in piano tuning and repair. He has his own course. He has his own website. He does all the things. Mark, I was reading up on you, and you got your degree in mechanical engineering at Queen's University and studied jazz, which I love, jazz, improv, all of that. Also got your degree in secondary and elementary music, and you were a high school music teacher. How many years did you do that for?
8 years.
Oh my God. And then also, like, very full life, right? So, and you have a passion project right now. You are a producer of a play right now that's
crazy.
Going on. So just...
Oh my
crazy.
gosh.
So I am excited, you guys, because Mark is going to kind of give you an overview this morning of how he trains concert level techs, a lot about Unisons, and then we'll be able to ask some questions later today. So just really excited to have you here.
Well,
David, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I knew of Mark for years, and for years I feel like we were ships passing in the night. And then finally, like a couple years ago, was it in 2022 or 3?
Something
Mark?
like that. Virginia, I think.
Something like that. Yeah, we were in Virginia or something. We were at a convention, and then like we just connected, and it was very brief, but it made an impression in myself.
Me
and
too.
Funny enough, it made an impression in Mark that it felt like we connected in a way that was deeper than the 3 to 5 minutes it really was, I'm sure. And so I've always had a place in my heart for Mark and what he's doing and his passion for it, and the way he's going about it, because he doesn't have to. That's the thing, is we at the school, we don't have to do what we're doing. We're doing it, though, and deep down, we want to do it. And that's what I love about Mark. And so, Mark, I am blessed to have you in my life and to have you a part of this school right now. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And I feel the same way. So what I'm going to talk about today is basically my path to being able to help people learn how to get good results tuning pianos. And the biggest problem I had was being able to explain things to people using the things that I was taught. So I had to kind of like redesign it and figure out what was working with things that people were telling me and what wasn't working, so that I could be able to explain to people, be able to answer their questions without saying, just tune 1,000 pianos and then you'll know. Because I used to hate it when people said that to me, because I wanted an answer and they didn't have it. So that's what I feel like I've been able to do that. I've never had to say that to a student, so I'm very proud of that. So today what I like to do is 20 minutes talking about stability in unisons, and then 20 minutes talking about something that Stacy and David and I were talking about, and that is we've started a new company in Toronto, and the premise is that what we want to do is give customers a report before and after the tuning, so that they can see that the tuning has been improved. And the real benefit of that is that not only is the customer feel more confident that the tuning is at a minimum level, and you'd be surprised how low that minimum is. That's hard to get. Not only that, but the technician actually appreciates it, because then they feel more confident that, yes, I did a good job. And then if the technician is working for another person, working for another technician, that person is confident that they're giving good service to the customer. So we're going to talk in the second 20 minutes a little bit about how we do that, and I'm going to show you how you can do it for yourself What that means is no more guessing. You're going to know for sure how good your unisons are. And then the last 20 minutes, I'll just take questions. How does that sound?
Hey, Mark. Oh, that sounds great. I think there's someone else in the waiting room. Could you? Sorry, I have you as host. So
You can see that?
they were texting me. They're like, "I'm in the waiting room."
I think I let them in. Who was it?
It was Skylar.
Is he here? Or her?
Yeah,
there.
right here.
She's there.
Oh, good.
He's there.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we're good.
Okay, so the first thing, like I'll share my screen. I'm gonna have to turn on my original sound, so I apologize if you start hearing weird things when you're talking. So the first thing that I'd like to talk about, let me just fix this. It's a little weird here. There we go. Is something that people don't often understand is that when you turn the tuning pin, it actually is bending and twisting. So, for example, if this is the pin, right, and then I put my hammer on, right, like this, and I try to turn it, I'm going to be bending it as well, okay? It's going to be bending. I call that natural bend. So when you're trying, and this is the reason why people say put your hammer at 12 o'clock. It's not because it gets a better stability, it's because it eliminates the bending of the pin in the direction of the string that's going to cause that tension between the tuning pin and the V-bar. It's going to cause that tension to change when you're tuning and when you let go. So what we're going to talk about is how to use that to your advantage. So the most common description of how to tune is to put your hammer at 12 o'clock and go sharp and ease it flat. Now what I want you to understand is the difference between a tuning technique and a hammer technique. So a hammer technique is going sharp and easing the pitch flat to the target. But the tuning technique, there's only two, okay? There's only two tuning techniques. There's only two tuning motions that we can do to the pin. Just two. That is, we can turn the pin, or we can intentionally or unintentionally be bending or tilting the pin or flagpoling the pin. That can be done on purpose, but it can also, it is also always being done just naturally. It's happening. So with that twisting and that bending, we're going to talk about the untwisting and the unbending. So what we want to do, without getting into too much explanation, I want to try and keep this as simple as possible. We're just going to talk about what the pin is doing after we let go of the hammer. It's going to be unbending and untwisting. And does that affect the non-speaking link tension? And then we're going to say, if the string is stable, it means that the unbending and the untwisting left the non-speaking link tension at the right spot. If the string goes sharp, you left the non-speaking link tension too tight. You got to retune the string and make it less tight. If the string goes flat, you left it too loose. You got to retune the string and make it less loose, more tight. So it's simple as that, really. So to do this, I'm going to try something else. Hopefully this will work. I'll try and do this. Okay. What I'm going to try and do is use my phone here, just so that we know what we're seeing. You can see that? Okay, good. I don't know. Can you still hear me? I had to change something there.
Yeah, we're good. We can hear you, and it's green good. So.
All right. So, let us just look at this. we're going to take this string here, and I'm going to show you, this is, what I'm about to show you is probably the most powerful thing you can do to get feedback on your stability. Let me also say, and Stacy, if you could just let me know when 20 minutes are up so I don't go too far. Maybe we'll go to a half an hour.
Sure.
This one thing is probably the most powerful thing you can do in terms of getting good stability. And it has to do with the fact that stability is taught as a recipe approach. Do this, don't do that. And that is what gets people into a rabbit hole, because they're told to put their hammer at 12 o'clock, go sharpies flat, and they think it's supposed to work because what they were told, that's what you should do. And then they try and it doesn't work. So instead of the recipe approach, we need to use a feedback approach. And that is, you tell me I'm supposed to do this, well, let me see if it works. And then if it doesn't, we'll know what to do. So the way that we're going to get that feedback approach is doing something that I've never seen anybody do. And that is phase 1, phase 2 approach. Okay? So we have 3 phases in hammer technique. Phase 1, apply force to the hammer. Phase 2, let go. And phase 3 is testing. So there's a couple of ways you can test. You can do the bend test, you can do hard blows, or you can do the customer test, where that's where the customer plays the piano, it goes out of tune, and they never call you back. So we don't want that. So the thing that people don't do is they don't separate out phase 1 and 2. They do this. They just like move the hammer around and stop. We did not take advantage of phase 1, phase 2. So this is what we're going to do, phase 1, phase 2, with the go sharpies flat. So that's the hammer technique, but the tuning technique is just going to be twisting. We're just going to twist it flat.
Hey, Mark, we don't hear the tuning happening.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the sound here.
We could see it on the graph though, so that's cool.
No, you'll hear it. There we go. Original sound. And then back to the screen. I don't know. Can you see me now? Oh, it's probably all weird now. I don't know. Is that better? What's that? Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Can you hear it?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so go sharp, E's flat just by turning. Okay, now this is what I'm doing. That's being powerful. I'm not letting go of the hammer. I'm still pushing on it. We're around 0 cents. Now the question is, what's going to happen when I let go? The pin is going to untwist, which should tighten up the non-speaking length, because it's going to untwist clockwise. It's going to unbend, but that shouldn't affect it because the unbending is sideways. Let's see what happens when I let go. So this passed the phase 2 test. It passed it. So it's still at 0. And then phase 3 would be hard blows. In our school, we always use the hard blows, but in practice, we teach people not to use the hard blows. We use a bend test, where you just massage the pin down a bit. So the non-speaking length tension is supposed to be tight. Some people think it's supposed to be the same as the speaking length, but concert technicians talk about loading the tuning pin, which means to make it a little bit tighter if you can. So that means when you massage the pin down, if that non-speaking length tension is loose, the pitch is going to change right away. You have to learn how much to massage, but it just saves your ears by doing it that way. So now let's just do the phase 3 hard blows. So now it went flat. So now what we teach is the sentence to give you the feedback. We got to fix this. So we have to tune it again differently to leave, and this is how it works. We say the sentence, and before you say the sentence, you need to know what string drifted in which direction. So we know which string drifted because we're only working with one string, and we know which direction because we have the ETD, and we know it went flat. So we say the sentence like this. This is the full sentence. The string went sharp or flat because we left the non-speaking length tension too tight or too loose. Therefore, we need to retune this, leaving the non-speaking length tension tighter or looser. So for this particular situation, we would say the string went flat because the non-speaking length was left too loose. We need to retune this and leave the non-speaking length tighter. All right, so that's the situation we're in right now. Now, how do we do that? How do we make it tighter? You start with 3 different things in order. The first thing you do is change the hammer angle so that you can use the bending and unbending, the natural bending and unbending that happens all the time when you're tuning, to leave the non-speaking length tension tighter. The second thing is bending, massaging, flagpoling, tilting. That's Dan Levitan's word. Tilting the pin on purpose. And some people might say, not as many as there used to be. I used to get a lot of flack by saying you can bend the pin on purpose. And the problem with that is if you think that's a silver bullet, you're going to get in trouble. I've had students break pins right off of the piano because they're not thinking about this idea of bending or tilting as a very subtle thing. They think it's a magic bullet, and it's not. You need to know when, exactly when, and how you're going to do it, and when not to do it. So Dan Levitan invented the C lever at a time when everyone thought bending was bad. So here's the tuning pin. The C lever comes up. Well, the normal hammer goes like this. So when you're turning it, it's bending the pin. But the C lever goes like this and comes down right beside the pin. So when you're turning it, you're not bending the pin at all. He uses this on a grand piano. And what he found, I spoke to him, he said, I invented the hammer, I started tuning the piano. I couldn't tune the piano. I could not tune the piano for the life of me. I couldn't do it because he had completely eliminated the bending. So what he does now, you see it when you watch on his website. He will turn the pin and then he will purposely tilt it. That's what he calls tilting the pin. So again, it's not a silver bullet. You need to know when you're doing it. And what I tell students is that no matter how much you think you're tilting the pin, you're doing it too much. Okay? So, and then the third thing, if that doesn't work, is to change the technique. So right now we're doing a twist or slow pull. It's actually called slow pull because that's all we're doing is turning the pin to get it flat. We could change that to a massage where we're purposely bending it. Okay, so we lowered the pitch by moving the pin this way, and it lowered the pitch, and then when we let go, the pin untwisted clockwise, tightening up the non-speaking length, but not enough. So now we're going to have to use the natural bend. That means while we're lowering the pitch, we want the pin to be bending down so that when we let go, the pin will unbend up, leaving more non-speaking length tension. In this case, the unbending is sideways. It's not changing the non-speaking length tension at all. So the question is, you can put it in the chat. I'm going to change the hammer angle. Remember, that's the first option we have. I'm going to change it to like a 10 o'clock or more to like a 3 o'clock here, like where I'm going to lower the pitch, and I want to put the hammer at an angle that will be followed by the pin unbending up. So during the tuning, the pin's going to be bending down and I'm turning it counterclockwise, and when I let go, the pin's going to unbend up. What angle should I use to lower the pitch? I can't see the chat, so let me know if people are guessing and what they're saying. You guys still there?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
I'm getting like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock answers.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Let's move it. So now, again, they're saying try 10 o'clock. I'm saying, yeah, that's it. But we can't be in our heads, right? You've got to check all the time. Because sometimes, you're missing a variable, or you don't know what's going on, and you try, oh yeah, this is going to work, and it doesn't work. So then you got to step back and go, well, what happened? So we're going to try it now. Let's get this sharp. Okay, something like that. That's phase one. Now we let go. It's kind of hovering around 0, and then a couple of hard blows. That worked. Any questions about that? That is using a slow pull technique. Really, it's slow pull, but the hammer technique was go sharp, ease flat with the slow pull. After, we're going to do now go sharp, ease flat with the massage technique. But before we do that, does anybody have any questions about what we just did?
I have one.
Yeah.
So, when you're doing the slow pull, how sharp are you pulling it? First place.
How exactly am I what?
Or how sharp are you pulling it before
It doesn't matter. Really, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because slow pull is the benefit of slow pull. The way slow pull is supposed to work is that in order to get a consistent result, is that what you really want is you want to move the pin. How it works. What happens to the pin when you're doing slow pull is you start to try to turn the pin starts twisting, and then the foot starts moving. And when the foot starts moving, the pin is twisted at a constant amount. Therefore, when you let go, it'll untwist at a constant amount every time you do it. If you're so close to the pitch that you try to do the slow pull, but the pin foot doesn't move, then you're going to have a varying amount of untwist, and it's going to be hard to predict.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so you could go as sharp as you want. I mean,
Mark, can you talk about test blows, because that is so divided?
Yeah, so there's a couple, basically hitting the key hard. Some people actually use it as a tuning technique. So they make the pitch sharp and then they hit it really hard and it flattens. And this is just my opinion. I think they do that because in order for it to work, your tuning has to be not stable. Because if it's stable and you hit it hard, it's not going to drop. So my feeling is that they're having trouble with stability, and therefore the hard blows will drop the pitch, and they like that. And also, I believe that in order to, and granted, it's because it's so hard to understand. And if you have to make a living tuning pianos and you don't understand stability, you have to figure out a way that it makes sense. And the hard blows, some people will justify them saying that it equalizes tension across the bearing points. Theoretically, it sounds like a great idea, but there's friction at all of those bearing points, and that means it's impossible to equalize the tension. And then the other thing that explains what I was talking about before, that the non-speaking length tension actually needs to be higher than the speaking length, is the idea that, yes, you can equalize the tension on hard blows, but when you're doing the hard blows, the speaking length is vibrating, and that means the tension in the speaking length is higher, because the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, and when you hit that string and it starts doing this, it is not short anymore. It's actually longer, and it can't be longer unless its tension is higher. So if this is the speaking length and you start doing hard blows, it's going up like this, and then the non-speaking length is matching. It's matching up here, because when you hit it hard, the string is moving on the V-bar, and that lowers the friction, allowing the string to slip, and it's up here. Then when you stop hitting it hard, the speaking length comes down. But the friction at the V-bar keeps the non-speaking length up here. And then when you hit it hard in a concert, this is what happens instead of this, and then it pulls it up. So that's the tuning technique, hard blows. And then the test blow, after you do a technique you think is stable, is just saying, well, if it's not stable, they're going to make it go out of tune by playing it hard. I'm going to preempt that, but I'm going to play it hard beforehand. And that's the most accurate way of determining if the string is stable, the hard blows. The only problem is it's very damaging on your ears, shoulders, arms, the piano. Like I've had people tell me that their customers complain, why do you hit my piano so hard? And so we would definitely want to protect our ears. Now, here's the technique that we can use that confirms a stable string. So,
Mark, we're about 30 minutes in. I just wanted to give you a heads up.
Okay, so the bend test is basically pulling on the hammer, and it doesn't change. And that, like I said before, that's has to do with the idea that we want to make sure that we haven't left the non-speaking length loose. And if it is loose, the pitch will change. Okay? So we can try that with the old technique at the 12 o'clock. So it's about 2.5. I have a fan going on here, so now if I do a little bend test, it drops. So that means it was too loose. Okay, I'll do one more thing and then we can move on. So the Go Sharpies flat with the massage is, and by the way, you know how that didn't work, with the 12 o'clock? It does work sometimes if people use what I call a lazy arm. So they're actually pulling down on the pin. They don't realize it. And that, when you let go, the pin unbends up. But we're going to do this on purpose. So now, what the person was asking about, how sharp should I make it? Now it matters because we're going to massage, right? So if I leave it here, like at 13 cents, right? And then I try to massage it down. It's not going, so I have to move the pin foot. Now here's where we use the violent, this thing, I just felt it move. And it's still at the same pitch, but the non-speaking length is looser, so now the massage will work. I'm going to move my phone over here by the piano. This is called move and massage. Almost. Okay, the force is on the hammer. And now I let go. So I thought that was too much. I thought I was massaging too much. But apparently it's good for phase 2. For phase 3, it's okay. It's okay. Let's try, though, the short string, and then that's what all we'll do, and then we'll go to the measuring of unisons. So now we're going to do the same thing, but now we're going to use a short non-speaking length because Hooke's Law says, in Hooke's Law, if you go to my website and click on the stability course, that's a free lesson because it's so important. Hooke's Law just says that all of that unbending and untwisting is going to make a huge difference in the tension because this is so short. It's about 0. Let go.
Yeah, there's something.
Now it's +2. So it did go up. The other one it didn't because the non-speaking length was longer. So about +2. And that means that the non-speaking length is as tight as it can possibly be. It's pulled the string up. And now if I hit it hard, the friction will drop at the V-bar and it'll go up even more. +2. It's like 2.5. Yeah. All right, so that means it's too tight. So I need to massage, but closer. So I'm closer to pitch. Don't go so sharp now because I had to pull down too much to get to the target pitch. But if I was closer, I wouldn't have to. That's pretty close. Now I won't have to massage as much. It's not moving. This is a great, using the ETD or double string unison is great because it tells you when you're on the wrong pin. And I think I was. I know I was. That's better to know, think and be wrong than not think and be wrong. Okay. There. That is less. I'm pulling down a lot less than I did. Let go. Went up a bit. I don't have time to explain what I'm doing right now. It's in the course. Okay. So, what we're talking about here is feedback. Basically 2 things. 1, understanding that the pin is untwisting and unbending, and 2, don't take anything I said today and go, oh, that's how to do it. No, the only thing you should be taking from me and saying that's how to do it is you have to get the feedback. You have to get feedback. Now, there's 2 great ways of getting feedback. One is the ETD, and the other is double string unison. So that's muting one string, cleaning it up, applying the force, then letting go, seeing if it stays. This one didn't. Applying the force, letting go, seeing if it stays. So 2 ways to get good feedback, ETD and double string unison. So now let us go to the question. Before we move on, any questions about that?
I have questions, but I can wait till.
Okay.
It's not particularly about that.
Okay. All right, so now let's talk about unisons. What is a good unison? How do we know what a good unison is? What is an okay unison? What is a not okay unison? What is good enough? What is concert level? So let us pick a couple here. So we'll just take that one. So now, just as a test, this is Ocean Audio. Okay, it's a free program, and we're just recording at unison. And now the question is that unison okay? So put in the chat, and then you, David or Stacy, can tell me what people are thinking. Is it okay?
I'm getting wobbles, no.
Okay. So now, is it horrible? Is it a horrible unison?
So not terrible.
Yeah. So the thing is that when we're in this world, right, where I'm asking people questions and they're like guessing, really, like some people, their opinions are a lot stronger than others, but it's still an opinion. And Plato said that opinion is the lowest form of knowledge, and that is the name of our piano tuning network in Toronto, the Plato Piano Technicians Network, because we don't deal with opinion. And this is how you can not only say this unison is not good enough or it is good enough, you can actually have a number. You can actually determine exactly if it's good or not. So we're going to do what's called bandpass filter on this. So we loop it, we play, we find the first partial. There it is. Filter it. Okay, so that's the first partial. Second one. And I'm doing this fast. I've got some macros for time. There's the octave. And then the third partial will go up a fifth. Now, I'm really kind of concerned about that first partial because it shouldn't be beating that much. Back to the octave. Alright, so there we go. Let's do this one again because it's kind of weird sounding. It shouldn't look like that. Yeah, I'm going to ignore that because we can't really hear it. We can't hear it, so we can see it, but we can't hear it. So now what do we do with this information? Well, what we're going to do is, if you go to my website and you go to the ear training course and you go to the bottom and you click spreadsheet, you're going to get this. And this is a spreadsheet we use for the students, okay? And if we go to Unit 1, the double string unison, you're going to see this spreadsheet. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put a number in for each of these partials. If the partials are perfect, they're going to be all 4s, okay? And then the mark is 100%. But if they're not perfect, you start losing marks. Now the question is, what is not perfect? Okay, not
Mark, really,
Yep.
are we supposed to be seeing something? Because I'm not seeing something.
Yeah, okay. We lost.
There we go. Sorry.
You can see it now? Can you see my screen now?
Yep, got it.
Okay. So what is a perfect unison? A perfect partial, I mean. A perfect partial is one where the volume decreases and does not increase. Number one. Number two, we're going to only look at the first 2 seconds. Number three, we're going to ignore any kind of weirdness that happens here. Number four, we're going to ignore any increase that's really small. So based on that, I'm going to extend my weirdness to this. It's 0.2 seconds. It's the first point. If you look at the top right, this says 0.347. It's 0.2 seconds, like mathematically, that we ignore. But we'll stretch it here for this case because I can't hear it. I just don't hear it getting louder or softer, so I'm going to ignore that. So that means this, we're going to effectively give it a 4. So let's go back over here. Can you see my spreadsheet here? With the 4 in it?
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay. So we go back over to this one. Now we're going to the second partial, and I'm feeling like I got to ignore this again just because it was weird. Maybe I'll ignore this too because it's not a lot. Okay, I'll give it a 4. That's debatable whether it gets a 4 or not. But now this one, no, I can't ignore this. Third partial, the volume doubles, so it loses a full mark. That would be a 3. And then this one, the same thing. It's doubling, so it loses a mark. If it increases by less than half, it's going to lose a half a mark. And, maybe this one here will take a half a mark off for that one. So that is the second partial, I think. Yeah, if we take a half a mark off of that one, it's 3.5. And now we have this number, 84%. So what does our school say? Our school says 80% is a pass, but we want you to have 90%. Anything more than 90 is considered concert level, meaning, and we're not talking about swelling unisons or that kind of concert level unison. We're just talking about a unison that a person shouldn't complain about. So this is a pass, but it's not really what we want you to get. We want you to get a 90. And now, again, we got some problems here with this. If we were going to take a half a mark off for that, now we're starting to get to the point where, you know what, this sounds more like... So we're kind of like agreeing, yeah, this is not a great unison, but it's not horrible, right? Like students will send in 50% unisons. And that really, so this kind of unison would be a kind of a unison. If I was to make a suggestion, I would say, don't fret about it unless you have a really good reason to. Like it's a concert tuning or the customer is very particular. If you got 70s and 60s, you need to fret about those. Even though some customers probably don't even hear it. But that's a good place to start worrying. This one, I wouldn't worry about it. And now, that's not an opinion. That's based on the fact that this is an 80% and it passes. Any questions about that?
You just mentioned something that I was curious about, and that is the opinion on swelling,
yeah,
and things of that nature. So this is to the core, just the unison as a kind of a foundation baseline.
Yeah.
Got it.
So the idea of the swelling unisons, it's so much easier to think of this in terms of what we don't want instead of going for this swelling unison. So I could give you this demonstration, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to. And that is we can set up 2 online tone generators, put them at 440, start them both, and then take one and keep restarting it. And what happens when you keep restarting it is that the valleys and the peaks of the tone will start at a different time each time I press play. And this is what you hear. Ba, 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 ba. So what's happening there is that the tones are out of phase and they're canceling each other out, and it's very quiet. So these are 2 tones that are perfectly in tune. You can have a unison like that, and that is the reason why we don't want to tune our unisons perfectly in tune. Because if they are, you can have this situation where the volume dies out right away. And so for that reason, that's a good reason to tune your unison slightly out of tune. Now, they're not slightly out of tune. What you're doing is changing the tension, but it doesn't change the frequency, and that has to do with coupling. And there's a video you can look up synchronized metronomes. They put these metronomes on a piece of wood and they're all clacking at different speeds. Then they put the piece of wood on pop cans, and the pop cans simulate the transfer of energy from the string through the bridge, which is the piece of wood, to the other string, and it couples. So you put that thing, the wood's doing this on the pop cans, and it's clackety 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 clack 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 clack, and all the metronomes synchronize. And that's what's happening when you slightly detune the unison. You're actually not making it out of tune. It's still the same frequency, but the tension's a little bit different, and this causes more sustain. And this has been written about in the paper by Weinrich, Professor Gabriel Weinrich. It's called coupling piano strings or something. It's coupling of piano strings, and he found that out, that when it's slightly different pitches, people tend to prefer the sound of that unison. He also found out that we call it Weinrich drift, that when you tune a single string and you start adding other strings to it, perfectly in tune unisons, whoop, sometimes it'll jump up. Sometimes when you tune a single string, you add unisons, they drop. Weinrich drift. So that's an argument for you to definitely check your unisons. The 3 strings, the trichord, definitely check the trichord, okay, before you're finished. And then the last thing I'll just show you before we go to the questions is the report that we're using, the report that we use for our customers. And what I suggested to David and Stacy, that we would love to do this for you. And it's totally confidential. They could send me the recording of your tuning, and I don't have to know who it is. I'll just send the report, and then you just find out what it's like. You can find out what your tuning was like. So here's an example of a report. It's one of our tuners. I shouldn't be showing this one because he actually's got the highest mark so far. One of the highest marks of all our technicians. And this is just one of his early ones. But this is what it looks like. First of all, we have the before and after picture of a piano meter. So you can see that it was out of tune, now it's in tune. And then the unisons, we can see the before is the red. You can see there's some zeros in there. There's even some 4s. But the overall mark, I think, was like 55% before. And then the after, we have some 1s still in there, some 0s, some 1s, some 2s. And we wanted him to be better than that. So I think we might even have his improved one. Here's one that's passed. Yeah, this one passed, but we wanted him to we don't want any 2s in there, so we had to send him back to fix the 2s. And he was happy to. And what you would want to do is simply go to internationalpianotechnicianschool.com. You go to the ETD units, and you're going to send us unit 4. That's unit 3, yeah. Send us unit 3, and it tells you exactly what to send us. You know, do a screenshot of piano meter, take a recording of all the unisons from C2 to B6 before, then tune the piano, play them again very loudly for stability, and then record each of them and send them to us. If there's any unisons you're having trouble with, you can tune them. Oh, that's for false beats. Give a separate recording of each string. If you need to fix them while you're doing the recording, you can. And that in itself is a great thing, because you're making the recording and you're playing the notes, and then you're like, you know what? That's not good enough. And then you fix it. And that's the unison that we mark, the last one in the recording. All right. So that's what we suggested for Stacy. We were like, hey, we really want to help you guys out. You think anybody would be interested in this? And And she said,
Who wants
sure,
to send in a recording?
I'll tell them about it. And then she must have told you about it. And she said, I don't really understand what you're talking about, what you're
It was because of me. You explained that much.
All right. So we have 10 minutes later left for questions.
Okay. Do you want to turn off?
Mark, yeah.
Yep.
Then we won't have the echo, and then we can.
I used to be able to do it just by clicking original sound from musicians and went off. Now it's...
Great.
I am-
at the bottom.
Oh,
Noise removal. That should be good.
okay. Victor, I'm looking right at you, and I'm just like, because Victor and Ram are both just junkies when it comes to all things tuning. And I'm just curious
Our favorite people.
what your initial reaction is to this. Not even the mental, but just like the emotional reaction to this. How do you feel about it?
I love it. Yeah, I love it because Mark was right about. It's always like when you get into it, it's just they make it sharp, ease it down. Now you're supposed to tune, and I hit so many brick walls with that. Like there has to be more, and so I love all these explanations because it's kind of making more sense, and I'm piecing it together with what I've kind of discovered on my own over the years. I have a question though, Mark. When you were saying massage, is that different than like adding light pressure down, or was the massage like the back and forth? What did you mean by massage?
Massage is like gentle pressure down.
Okay, got it. And then the other question I had, you said that when you bend the pin, or you're doing a light bend down, and you let go, it's supposed to come back. Is it just gonna stay there like over time, or is there a possibility that in 30 minutes from now it moved? Like what I'm saying is that wherever it went back to, is that where it's gonna stay?
That's a good question. I've not done any studies over time on how long it stays in tune. But if it did change, like if it went sharp, then you know that whatever you did left the non-speaking link tension too tight.
And then, so with that, I'm guessing that's different. Like, is there a starting sense to where this applies better? Like, as in, like when a pitch raise, well, it's going to change by the time you're done with the piano. So is this only applying to like when you're 6 cents flat or something like that? Is there a measurement that you've taken?
Well, when it comes to pitch raises, I don't do them like other people. I do a fine tuning on a pitch raise up to 30 cents, and you might think that's crazy, and there's some truth to that. It is crazy because the pitch will not stay. But because I'm doing a fine tuning and making the octave, for example, very clean, what happens is the pitches don't stay, but it doesn't mean that the octave's going to go out of tune, as both notes drop in pitch. Plus, we add to that the technique that we use where we're playing a bunch of intervals before we tune the final note. It's called the stretch interval set. And then what happens is you find notes that have drifted, or I should say intervals that have drifted, so you fix them along the way. And what you end up with is a tuning where the intervals have dropped, all of the notes have dropped, but the intervals have stayed. So it's actually, for me anyways, because I'm a bit of a geek on this stuff, it just seems more, I can't think of the word. It seems better than just guessing at a pitch raise and doing a rough. But those work too, right? The final result is what matters. It's just more fun for me, more sophisticated. It's a more sophisticated way. More elegant. It's more elegant to understand the intervals.
Good word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it. And just one more question for me.
Yeah.
And others want to ask. So just to clarify, as far as the first technique that you said, you made it sharp, and then you did a slight bend, like past the 0 cents, kind of flat, and then your test was if it bent back, then that was a good sign, correct?
No, the goal is to always put the string at the target pitch. So never put it flat and then hope it goes sharp. Put the pitch at the target pitch, and then with your hammer still, the force still in the hammer, confirm that this is what you want. Then you let go and see if it stayed. That's your first goal, your first challenge. And then the second one is, will it stay after hard blows or a massage, bend test? Yeah.
Okay. So then when you change the angle, that was just to bend it to the pitch. It wasn't to bend it past.
So, no. Yeah, bend it to the pitch. But you have to understand that when we were approaching the pitch, during the tuning, the pin was bent down. Because the pin will bend in the direction that you're applying the force. So if your hammer's at 12 o'clock and you're applying the force this way, the pin is bending that way and it's not affecting the string. Because it's a side to side, not up and down. But if you move it to like this angle and you're pressing down on the hammer, the pin is going down. And our problem was the string went flat. So when we went to this angle here, and we were lowering the pitch, the pin was bending down. And then when we let go, the pin unbent up, tightening it up, making it tighter than it was before. So we're confident that the non-speaking length now is tighter than it was before. Maybe it's not tight enough. Maybe it's too tight. We don't know. We have to let go of the hammer after phase 1 to see if it stays, and maybe do a bend test or a hard blow to confirm on phase 3.
I have a quick question. What length of the tip has an effect? Does that have a net positive? What do you prefer?
There's a ton of variables that affect how much the pin is bent and how much is twisted. If you have a longer tip, it's going to bend more. If the pin is tighter, it's going to bend and twist more because you need more force, and that's going to be more force on the pin, causing more bend and more twist. But it's all eliminated when all you think about is, did the pitch stay where I put it? Also, when we talk about the non-speaking length, we got the tuning pin and the V-bar. That's what we think about, but there's bearing points in there too. But just ignore them, because if the string changes, it was not right. It was too tight or too loose. You can forget all about that stuff.
I have a question about Unisons. You were saying, at first you said that was our opinion of whether it was good or bad, and so we're going to use this tool to determine if it's actually good. So over time, obviously we can't use that in a customer's home for every single Unison. Mm-hmm. So are you also using that as a tool, as in to train your ear on what, like, this one got a passing score, that's what it should sound like, and that's gonna be your reference from now on?
Yeah.
So okay.
There's a couple of things you're talking about there. As far as using that unison as a reference, you always have a clean unison you can use as a reference. You don't need to use this. That is the single string. Okay? So you tune a unison, you say, is this good enough? Let me mute 2 strings. Play it, remove the mute, play it. If there's any difference at all, it's not good enough. And the second thing about training your ear, we use a 3-step process, okay? It's called the feedback loop, and that is this. The first thing you do is make a judgment by ear. Most people stop. They tune a unison, that's good enough. They go on to the next one. Well, for training your ear, we're not going to do that. The second step is to get feedback that you can trust. Not somebody else's opinion, but feedback you can trust, like this, filtering and marking. And so when you do that, at the beginning, you're probably going to get the feedback that the unison's not good enough. And then instead of hanging your head in shame, no, what we do is we do the step 3, which is you listen to the unison again and you say, aha, I can hear that. For example, when you filter it, maybe the third partial's beating, but you didn't hear it when you made the first tuning. So you go back and listen and you go, yeah, I hear that third partial beating. That's the first stage of the feedback loop. The second stage is you make the judgment, you get the feedback, and the feedback tells you the unison's good. That's a great feeling. And then you do that for like 100 times, right? And then the third stage is confidence, where you tune the unison and you say, I think that's good. And you know what? I just measured this 100 times. I don't think I need to measure it anymore. And that's when you've reached nirvana, tuning nirvana.
Tuning nirvana. I think this is really good because in the course that we have an online course, and what we talk about are 3 things with tuning: is knowing what to listen for, knowing how to adjust that, and then how to stabilize it. And so what you're talking about is really that final core thing of just how do you make that sure that that's so locked in. I love, and what Robert and Ram said is just like, there's no nonsense. It's like, okay, here is what it is. And as a business owner, I have like tons of questions as far as training technicians, time efficiency, and all of that, which I think we could probably share for another time.
Sure.
I think that if anything, this just makes me want to have you back again and talk more about this.
My
now
pleasure.
that we've kind of like jumped into the very deep end of this.
Yeah. Can I just share one more thing with you guys?
Absolutely.
So I'm very honored that you asked me to do this. And as a gift, I wanted to provide your students with this gift here, this offer. So if you go to howtotunepianos.com and type in artisan/artisan, I'll put the link in the chat, and you guys can share this. I have 3 courses right here. I'm giving them 50% off how to get superior unisons. So we're talking a little bit about what they sound like, how to get superior stability.
Page, Mark. I just put that in the chat, by the way, and I'll send you guys the link.
You can see my screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then the double string unison course there. And then also, if you wanted to get all 3, it's all 3 of these courses for the price of one.
Awesome.
That's what I wanted to offer.
Oh, that's so cool.
And yeah. So there you go. And I would love to come back and talk about anything else, because I was really, when I was younger, I would just like vomit information all over people, and there's a lot of stuff I just left out because it's too much. It's too much. But I'd love to come back and talk about anything else.
I encourage you guys to do that recording. Just send it in.
Yeah.
What was the link for that? Oh, actually, I think I found it. So I'll share that.
You have to go to the
spelled out internationalpianotechnicianschool.com, and then the ETD units. Like we can certify people in ETD tunings if they can pass those 4 units. So it's Unit 3. Unit 3. So what our you could also do Unit 1 and 2 if you want. What our technicians do is they'll send us just 2 strings, tuned to sound like 1. I don't care the pitch. That's Unit 1. Unit 2, they have to tune the 3 strings to any note with an ETD between A3 and A5, I think. And then the 3rd unit, which is what you guys would do. You can also do Unit 1 and 2. I'll give you a report on that. And that is you tune the whole piano and measure before and after, and then we give you the report. And then the 4th one is you tune for one of our local technicians, and they give you a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. You also, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but everybody here is like hungry for more information. You have a Facebook page as well.
Yeah.
That we can link that. There was talk about even the Artisan School or having us come on and do a technical as well at some point. So if they wanted to be a part of that and follow you on Facebook, that's another thing too.
Yeah, it's How to Tune Pianos Beginners public group. It's over 10,000 people, so you can go there for lots of information. And I'm monitoring that all the time. We don't have any funny business going on in there. Like if somebody says anything. If somebody says anything like negative at all about anybody's question or a beginner, get a real piano technician to do this, they're gone. I don't.
Yeah.
I give them a warning, and then but nobody keeps doing it. So everybody's pretty good.
Yeah.
Everybody's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well,
sorry, real quick. Yeah, this is this is awesome to have you on, Mark. I mean, to me, it's exactly like watching one of your YouTube videos, but we get to ask questions in real time. So what an honor! It's so cool to be here with you.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Victor. I'm honored.
We'll set up the next one, Mark.
Yeah.
This is great. This is so fun. This is so fun, and it's just, again, from that moment that you and I actually met, it was fun. You know, even in that brief moment talking to you, and we've had several conversations since, and this is just great.
Yeah.
And so we're honored to have you here and to just show us things that we maybe not have ever really thought about or deep dive. And that's huge. Is just and there's no shame in it too, which is great. And that's one of the things I appreciate about you is you're just like, no. What did you say? Tuning Nirvana? I love that. I want to just sit in that tuning Nirvana.
Yeah. I really appreciate you asking me to do this. It's I feel blessed that I've met you too, and I'm looking forward to many more interactions like this.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you all. Have a wonderful weekend exploring piano craft, and just now I know I'm going to go tune and look at my Unisons just a little bit more right now as I go into my work day.
All right. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.